All right, welcome into the FNIA podcast. As always, we are presented by Lowe's. You know Tony Dungy, you know Rodney Harrison, Jac Collinsworth. Fellas, we are fresh off the trade deadline. It's one of the great days of the year, and we got ourselves a good one. Coach, I mean, people are calling this maybe the best trade deadline in NFL history. What say you?
I don't know about best, but I would say busiest for sure. I can't remember one like this. I was never a big believer in trying to add to your team during the season, but there's been a lot of teams that have done it here in these last few days. Some shockers, some ones that maybe made a little sense, but I think it's been busy, and I don't know the overall reason for that. Injuries could play into it, but I just was surprised by how busy it was.
How do you see it, Rod? How do you see this deadline yesterday?
I thought some teams made themselves a lot better. I mean, I think just the thing that surprised me was Seattle. I was thinking that Seattle, because of the Cooper Kupp injury, they needed to go out and do something. And they went out and got a young guy that's not making a lot of money that can come in right away and make a huge difference. And some of these moves, including the one for Indianapolis, coach, I think helps them get closer to being that contender.
Well, that's what everybody feels. And, on paper it does, but I always felt that like you build your team in camp, you have that unity, that togetherness, you grow together. Every now and then there's a special situation. We did it once in my career that I can remember, and it was just one of those spur of the moment things. We had our starting nose tackle, Monte Rager, got in a car accident. He was done for the season. So now we have a big hole. Booger McFarland had played for me. He knew the defense. We gave up a second-round pick the next year for him, but he could come in and step in and play right away because he knew what we were doing. That's unusual. And that's the one example that I had, and it was successful for us. But everybody thinks, well, I plugged this guy in, all of a sudden I'm going to be better. I don't know about that. In Seattle, I agree with you. I think they got a sleeper, and the fact that this young kid, Rashid Shaheed, knows their offense. He played for Clint Kubiak last year, so there's not going to be any, I have to learn the terminology. He's going to step right in and be able to play, and I think that's a huge one.
Yeah, and just the opportunity to add some real speed on that outside. We already talked about Jackson Smith and Jigba, and you add two guys with that type of speed, and all of a sudden it opens up things for Elijah Arroyo in the middle of the field. And Sam Darnold, he has to be ecstatic to be able to get these. I'm just saying, Coach, he has to be.
I agree.
Seattle continuing to build. They're on the buyer side of this. Let's go through them one after another. So there's been 26 players traded. That's from the beginning of the season until yesterday. The most in 25 years, our great producer Gary tells me, which is pretty good start. And that makes the case for what we saw yesterday. Let's go through them, starting with the Jets, though. Sauce Gardner, he is off to Indy. Talk about buyers, the Colts. They send 2 first-round picks and A.D. Mitchell. Coach, your Colts, they think it's a Super Bowl year. Why is this the right move?
Well, I think a number of people are ecstatic. The Colts have been looking for a corner ever since training camp. They were really, really excited. Justin Wally, they drafted in the 3rd round. He was playing very, very well. They expected him to be a starter. He got hurt in the preseason, and they felt like they've been deficient ever since. So they've been on the lookout. Sauce Gardner, you're on a 1-7 and 1-8 team, and all of a sudden now you're going to the team with the best record in football, playing for a coach who knows how to utilize talent in Lou Anarumo. I think this is a perfect match. Now, the Colts had to give up a lot. There's no question about it. But they're looking at it, hey, if we can cover, if he can come in, be who he was, Charvarius Ward gets healthy and gets off that IR in December, we're going to have a good corner combination, Rod.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a great corner combination. Those guys play zone, they can play man, but I also think you're going to get a better Sauce Gardner. I mean, you think about it, the environment that he was in with New York, the negativity from the fans, the negativity from just the media and everything that he had to deal with. Now he comes to a more stable environment, a lot of positive things going on. He's got a complete team, and now he doesn't feel like he has to go out and make plays out of the defense. He can just play within the system. Coach, I think this was fantastic by the Indianapolis Colts. I love the fact, Jack, that they're very aggressive. And this is their Super Bowl window. They're playing extremely well. They don't have many weaknesses on the defense, but this corner position was a weakness, Coach, and I thought they hit it out the park with this kid.
No doubt. And they're looking at their team and saying, you know what, we're going to put points on the board. We're going to score. We're going to be ahead. People are going to have to throw to beat us. Now, if we can get Ward and Gardner back there patrolling the back and make plays, that's going to win for us in December and January.
Yeah, and you look at the safety position with Nick Cross and Cam Bynum. They are very solid at the safety position, but you add a guy like Sauce Gardner, it really takes your secondary to the next level, Jack.
How do you view the A.D. Mitchell portion of this, Coach?
Well, unfortunately, you're giving up a very good young player, but he wasn't playing for you. And somehow, for some reason, he'd gotten in the doghouse. Maybe it's the fumble at the goal line. Maybe it's other things. But he's playing 4 or 5 plays a game. You hate to give up on that talent, but if it helps me get a guy who can propel us to the top, I'm gonna make that trade.
Yeah, and the Jets get a good young player, and he's going to help. I mean, he'll be a good complement to Garrett Wilson. So to have 2 young wide receivers that they can continue to work on and build, I think that's a good thing for the Jets.
He was a second-round pick in 2024 out of Texas. For anybody who's not aware of his career, 55 targets, 23 catches last year. That was 312 yards, no touchdowns. 9 catches this year, 152 yards, no touchdowns as well. So that is the move. Let's get to the Jets cleaning house and continue the conversation, though, because they also traded Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys for a first-round pick in 2027, a second-round pick in 2026, and Mozzie Smith as well. Quinnen, that 4-year, $96 million contract was signed in 2023. So, Rodney, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, Quinnen Williams has been a very productive defensive tackle. And then just think about it, him playing for the Jets over the last couple years, maybe he doesn't have the same enthusiasm. Now he get a fresh new start. You pair him with Kenny Clark. I think Jerry Jones is doing the right thing, adding these small pieces right now. Now, Coach, it's going to cost him a lot of money, $20-something million a year. But do you think Quinnen Williams still has something in him? I still think he's young enough, and I still think he's healthy and just good enough to make a difference for the Cowboys.
No, I absolutely do. And it's a good move from that standpoint. You put him with Kenny Clark in the middle, you're better run defense right away. That's been the Cowboys' weakness. So I see that. You have to look at the money, what it costs, and the fact that you're giving up some of the capital that you got from trading trading Micah, yeah. But that's the trade-off. And Jerry Jones is saying, okay, I got Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams, and I still have a little bit extra from what I got from Micah Parsons. Overall, I think it's a pretty good move, especially if you know Micah wasn't happy in that locker room.
But also, Jack, getting a linebacker from Cincinnati, I mean, he's a solid player. We watched him his entire career, and each year he's gotten better. He's a solid guy. I think he can come in right away and make a difference.
Yeah, Logan Wilson, I'm with you on that. I mean, the Bengals liked him enough to pay him, and then they just drafted and replaced him and didn't need him. And so I'm glad to see them at least moving on from that when they don't need him. I'd like to see Trey Hendrickson moved on from as well, but I think they're still trying to, maybe win a few games here, but that may be a little bit more of a long dream. Go ahead, Coach.
If you look at a big picture from the Cowboys standpoint, okay, you gave up Micah Parsons, you got Kenny Clark, Quinnen Williams, and Logan Wilson, and maybe one more extra pick down the road. It's not a bad one. As Rodney said way back, you kind of unload a guy who wasn't happy, you get some good young players, and if you get hit on that draft choice next year, you did pretty well.
Yeah, you trade one player, you end up getting 4 or 5 or 6 players. And that's what we talked about when we talked about the Cowboys. Them not needing one special talent, but they need to build a team. And that's what Jerry Jones is doing, slowly but surely.
And it's interesting because Jerry Jones, as soon as they traded Micah Parsons, mentioned that we need guys that can stop the run. He felt like they had some young edge rushers that could play. So we need guys that can stop the run. So to go get Kenny Clark first, kind of get that original anchor. Now to get Quinnen Williams, you take interior defensive line from arguably your biggest weakness, one of your biggest weaknesses, to now a strength of your team. If they had won against Arizona on Monday night at home with a backup quarterback in Jacoby Myers, you'd be saying, here we go. coming out of the bye week, who knows what the Cowboys could turn into here. Maybe the defense will be better to pair with that offense. But then they lose that game. I mean, Coach, do you feel like they're still alive right now talking Dallas?
I think it's going to be a struggle this year. They needed that win and keep the momentum going. There's questions there. They can move the ball on offense. They still got to stop people, and maybe Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson help them in that regard.
Yeah, I said Jacoby Myers, Jacoby Brissett. Now let's get to Jacoby Myers, who was traded. Jacksonville, they get wide receiver Jacoby Myers, a 4th and a 6th round selection. That's in the 2026 NFL draft in exchange for Myers. How do you view this one, Rod? I know you know him, started his career in New England.
Yeah, I like Jacoby Myers. And the thing about Jacoby, I think he's underrated, but he's a pro. You know, you talk to guys in the locker room, they like his approach. He works hard. He's a very productive wide receiver, had over 80 catches last year, over 1,000 yards. He can come in, even if he's not your number 1 receiver, he can be your instant number 2. He's a pro. He wants to get paid. They need to go ahead and extend his contract, give him a fresh 3 or 4 year deal. And he's going to be a positive influence. He was a really good teammate in New England. I like this move, Coach. It just gives Trevor another weapon, another reliable weapon. Remember, they paid Christian Kirk like $18-20 million a year, and this kid is better than Christian Kirk.
Yeah, and, you know, hopefully it does pan out in the long run and they give him a new contract. But even if it doesn't, I look at this as, hey, this is a 1-year move, and we feel like we're close in Jacksonville. We've got a chance to make the playoffs. Travis Hunter, our receiver, is on IR. We get a receiver we can plug in and make some plays for us and hopefully get us to the playoffs. And so if it does that, if Jacoby comes in and gives them a spark, then it's worth it. You didn't give up that much to get him.
And Coach, one thing I wouldn't do I'm not giving up a 4th and a 6th round pick if I can't sign this guy to a long-term deal. So that's one of the things. I'm talking to his agent before I give up those picks. Hey, can we try to agree on a long-term deal? Because this is a guy that I want in my locker room. I want Jacoby Myers in my locker room. I think he's that big of a difference maker, Jack.
He's had some productive years. He's had 3 years over 800 yards, 3 in a row, 21, 22, 23. A year over 1,000 yards. That was 24. So a year ago, this year, 33 catches, 352 yards to start it out. How do we view Jacksonville right now, Coach? I mean, Jacksonville, we've seen the good, we've seen some of the bad. I mean, how do you view this team, this franchise right now?
They're close. And the fact, I think you hit it, there's not that bona fide level of, okay, these teams are great and everybody else is building for next year. Jacksonville's middle of the pack, but they're right in the hunt. They can make the playoffs, maybe win a playoff game and get going. So I think they're saying, hey, we need a little help. We need a little more production on offense that can get us into that playoff tier, and maybe it happens.
Yeah, I agree with you, Coach. Jacoby Myers, give them that little spark that they need. And that's all they need is just a little spark offensively.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.